Love lives here. When the world gets you down and you're feeling lonely, when you can't find your truth or find your center, there are many here who gather together. Oh, unconditionally, we love each other, and the scars that we see just make us stronger. We breathe it in together, we'll hold you up with grace. We know that love lives here in you and me. Love lives here. My soul breaks free. I'm so excited to be united with you. Where love lives, where love lives. When life gets you down, you can't see the future. When it all seems too much for you to handle, there are many here who gather together. Oh, unconditionally, we pray together, and the hurt that you feel will be set free. We breathe it in together, we'll hold you up with grace. We know that love lives here in you and me. Love lives here. My soul breaks free. I'm so excited to be united with you. Where love lives, where love lives. Love lives here in you and me. Love lives here. My soul breaks free. I'm so excited to be united with you. Where love lives, where love lives. Love lives here.
Good morning. I am Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure of serving this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where love lives here. It is so great to see all of you this morning as you're popping in there. Good morning, Shawnee. Good morning, Pat. Hey, Tommy. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Earl. Wonderful to see all of you with us this morning. So great to have you joining us. Go ahead and keep coming on in. As you're doing so, I invite you to start watch parties. If you're joining us on Facebook, start a watch party. Invite your friends to join us here this morning as we celebrate inclusion in action. And we are going to be looking at and exploring the topic of who are we with the inspirational, insightful, incredible, incomparable Tracy Brown. So I am thrilled to have Tracy with us, joining us this morning for today's conversation. It promises to be a wonderful and rich experience. So I want you to make sure that you have your spiritual living journal with you. You're going to need it today, I guarantee. So make sure you have that. Open up to the page for August 9th and get ready to write. So be ready for that. As you're sharing the experience this morning, I invite you to share and make sure that you're using the hashtags WeAreCSL and hashtag Love Lives Here. It is a beautiful morning here in Riverside. I'm sure it's a beautiful morning there in Dallas. Well, maybe afternoon by this point in Dallas. But it's a beautiful day, and so we are so thrilled to have all of you joining us this morning. Good morning, Maria. Good to see you. Hope you're sitting up and not just laying down in bed. They're calling you out. I know. I love you. It's always exciting to see you and be with you. Good morning, Allison. Great to see you as well. So come on in. Invite your friends on in. And Jabel, let's get together and let's start singing and bring this party started.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. So I know you know this song, and you can sing along with me. I'm here with Max and Manny and Manuel. We are socially distanced, and we are singing. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everyone you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who you've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody sing with us. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who you've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Good morning, family. So glad to be here with all of you. One people living in one family. We are one people. We are all one. One people living in one planet, joining in one family. We all are one. One people living in one family, joining in one planet. We all are one. One people living in one planet, joining in one family. We all are one.
Good morning. I'm Constance Stringfellow, one of your licensed spiritual practitioners here at the Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, and let's just turn within. Let's go to that place within where God is, that one special place within. I know that God is this divine presence, this all-knowing spirit in, through, and around everyone and everything. I know that God is love, God is peace, God is the one power, God is infinite intelligence, God is beauty and clarity, order, abundance, and compassion. But God is so much more than this. I'm one with all that God is. And as I know this truth for myself, I know this is truth for everyone everywhere. We are one, connected to this divine source. Even with our differences and similarities, we're one. There can be no separation in this oneness. We're spirit in action, poised in love. I feel uplifted and grateful for the fact that we are designed with the capability to love and to be loved. I'm grateful for this truth. I bless this service. I bless our special guests. I bless the children returning back to school. I know that they show up with courage and strength. I know that they can face any challenge that comes in their way. I'm grateful for this truth. I'm grateful to know who we are. I'm grateful for love, beauty, and blessings. And I let this be so. And so it is.
All right, this is a super fun song. It's called God Gave Me, and I hope you'll all sing it with me. It's a little bit of a round, so sing along if you can. The boys and I are going to jam out a little bit. God gave me one heart to love you. I'm going to do that got it? We're going to sing it one more time. And here we go. God gave me one heart to love you. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to do that every day in my life. All right, now, this is 2 ears to hear the world. God gave me 2 ears to hear the world, one heart to love you. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to do that every day. I'm going to do that every day of my life. Okay, so now it's 2 eyes to hear a miracle. Ready? You ready? Here we go. God gave me 2 eyes to hear a miracle, 2 ears to hear the world, 1 heart to love you. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day of my life. All right. So how about 2 hands to work for justice? That's a lot to put in there, but I think we can do it. Ready? God gave me 2 hands to work for justice, 2 eyes to hear a miracle, 2 ears to hear the world, and 1 heart to love you. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day of my life. Isn't that fun? Okay, I think you guys got it now. Now it's 2 lips to sing hallelujah. God gave me 2 lips to sing hallelujah, 2 hands to work for justice, 2 eyes to hear a miracle, 2 ears to hear the word, 1 heart to love you. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day of my life. Alright, so now it's 2 legs to keep things moving. God gave me 2 legs to keep things moving, 2 lips to sing hallelujah, 2 hands to work for justice, 2 eyes to hear the miracle, 2 ears to hear the world, 1 heart to love you. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day of my life. I think we got it now. We're gonna do another one. Here we go. It's 1 life to live in spirit. I think we can do it. Ready? God gave me 1 life to live in spirit, 2 legs to keep moving, 2 lips to sing hallelujah, 2 hands to work for justice, 2 eyes to hear a miracle, 2 ears to hear the word, and 1 heart to love you. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day. I'm gonna do that every day of my life. Every day of my life. Every day of my life. That was fun. I hope you guys were singing along.
That one was fun, and we're gonna have to make sure that we bring that one in as a regular, as a standard, that we do that fairly often. Thank you so much, Jubel. And I loved 2 eyes to hear a miracle. So if we see with the eyes of the one, then we're also hearing with the eyes of the one too, because what is it? It's all one body. It's all just one. So fabulous. Thank you so much, Jubel. So I would like to start this morning, this time together here now, as we always do, by centering and grounding into our focus statement and speaking our focus statement into manifestation, into creation, because what we're doing is we're placing our word, the word of the one, the word of the divine, our divine word. We are speaking our word into the law, knowing that it is already manifest, knowing that it is already done. And so this is the phrase, this is the focus statement that we use as our guide through which we live and move and be as a community together. This is our sense of purpose. This is the sense of why we come together on Sundays and why we come together throughout the week and why we do the work that we do in the world. So let's say this together. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Once again, Really fill your lungs and let it flow forth from you. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. And so it is through this filter that we are working with the global themes for this year. The 2020 global themes are 2020 Spiritual Vision. And the theme for this month of August is Inclusion in Action. And today we are talking about who are we? Because if we don't know who we are, how can we move forward in our lives? How can we make a difference in the world if we ourselves don't know who we are, right? And how can we grow and expand if we don't know where we're starting from? So this is going to be our conversation this morning. So I am so delighted, and I promised I wouldn't fangirl or cry, so I'm going to try not to do either. But I am truly delighted and I am truly honored to bring to you and to share with you this beloved presence, this beloved light, Tracy Brown. She is the former chair of the Leadership Council for Centers for Spiritual Living, the governing body of our international global organization. She is the only practitioner to receive our organization's highest award, the Ernest Holmes Award. She is living and working and practicing and being in Dallas, Texas, where she has several companies and several projects, but she is the founder and CEO of Intentional Inclusion. And she is recognized nationwide as an inclusion diversity expert. And it is such a joy to be with her this day. She is the author of this beautiful book, Stained Glass Spirit, coming down there. She is also the author of the daily guides in the Science of Mind magazine this month as well. Tracy, I've known her since about 2015, maybe a little bit before that. She is one of the women and one of the teachers who has had one of the greatest impacts, not only on my ministry and our ministry here at Riverside, but personally in my life as well. So I am honored to welcome my teacher, my mentor, my friend, my beloved Tracy Brown. Welcome, Tracy. That wasn't too much fangirling, I hope.
Wow. Like, who is this person you described? But thank you, Reverend Jeffrey, because it is a delight for me to be able to merge what I do in the secular world, which is diversity and inclusion strategy or working with organizations, with the spiritual foundation that all the things that I do, it's based on. So I'm excited that the theme this month in Centers for Spiritual Living is Inclusion in Action. And it was a very big honor for me to be invited to write the daily guides under that umbrella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. And I love, every morning get to wake up and it's like, okay, so what pearls of wisdom is Tracy sharing with us today through those guides and the affirmations? It's beautiful. So, as many ministers and colleagues have said, any day that we get to wake up with Tracy Brown in our lives is a beautiful day. So, so there you go. So today, Tracy, we're talking about who are we, right? And especially when we are looking at it through the lens of inclusion and diversity, who are we is an important question. And so I ask you, who are we?
The whole idea of inclusion means that there are differences, that we are different from each other. Each one of us is unique. So that diversity is normal. That diversity is by divine design. And so who we are, each one of us, is a unique expression of spirit, like created especially to be who we are. And at the same time, who we are is all of the same stuff, just kind of individualized. So it can be really confusing. And, the devotion today, I wrote about all of these things that are happening in the world, and we're so quick to say, oh, but that's not me. I'm not the pandemic. I'm not poverty. I'm not homelessness. I'm not climate warming. I'm none of that. I'm doing these things. But the reality is it's both. We are individuals, individual expressions, and every one of us shares something in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. At the beginning of Stained Glass Spirit, I love how you usually approach things with definitions and just that way we're all having a very clear conversation as to how we're framing the conversation. So you have three definitions. You have the definition of diversity, inclusion, and oneness. So would you share with our folks a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important when we are getting clear about who we are to be on the same page around that. So diversity is simply all the ways that we are different from one another. Diversity is just differences. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just that we are each unique and that we're different. So diversity, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's flowers or plants or trees or animals, diversity just means differences. Inclusion requires some action. So the diversity exists. And what we do with that diversity determines whether we have inclusion or not. So inclusion is not just a mental thought. It is the result or the outcome of our behavior, which means we have to intentionally choose behaviors that create inclusion in our neighborhood, in our state, in our nation, in our workplace, in our spiritual community. And then oneness is the place where I'm surprised that so many people think oneness is sameness. We're all one, we're all the same. And no, we're not. Our oneness means that we are in the likeness of the one. And Ernest Holmes defines the one as God, as spirit, as the creator. So we are each experiencing oneness because we are an expression of the one. And then because we understand that every form of life has come from this same one, then we are inextricably connected to everyone and everything else. But we are not the same as everyone else. So those three words, it does, when I talk about stained glass spirit, it's like, okay, the intersection of diversity and inclusion with this spirituality or this oneness that connects us all.
Yeah. So in hearing that, when we're thinking then from inclusion, the invitation then is to be intentionally inclusive.
Yes.
Because inclusion is an action. Inclusion is a state of being because everything is included in God. It's all included. It's all inclusive, if you will. And yet, just because it's all inclusive does not mean that that is the lived experience or how we are even moving that out into the world in greater ways. Right. And we have the opportunity to come from the oneness. Is that right?
Right. Which is hilarious because it's so easy for us to see and recognize that in other species. Right. Uh-huh. Right. So many of us use the example frequently of we don't look at a garden or we don't go to the arboretum or the botanical garden and expect every flower and every plant to be the same. We go because we want to recognize and admire that the birds of paradise are really very different than the daisies, and they're really very different from the roses, and the roses are different from the orchids. And we understand that they need different amounts of water, different amounts of sunlight. They need to be planted at different depths in the soil. They bloom at different times during the year, and they have an array of colors, even within one type of flower, right? All roses are not red, right? I'm in Texas. The yellow rose is the state flower of Texas. So we don't have problems looking at, recognizing, accepting, and appreciating and supporting diversity in plants or animals or lots of other in nature itself. But somehow when we get to talking about people, we start labeling those differences and putting them in a hierarchy and judging people based on often things that they didn't even choose. It's just who they are. And that's where the problem comes. And for us, from a spiritual perspective, whether you are looking at science of mind specifically, or whether you go to any of the major religious paths that teach some form of the golden rule, or the message from Jesus saying, love thy neighbor as thyself, right? We teach that.
Mm-hmm.
We say we value it, but somehow we have these blinders on when it comes to other people.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's like, it's fascinating, as you said, as to why this is. And I think part of it comes from our own sense of separation. And we were talking about that with Reverend Marie Kirkland last week, that we experience this sense of separation, perceived sense of separation, a false belief in separation, that we somehow are separate from someone else. And we also have this false idea that we're separate somehow from the one, from the divine.
Yes, I was going to say, when you said we have this false idea that we're separate from each other, and immediately my brain was saying the same thing. Well, yeah, because we think we're separate from God, from spirit, from that which created us, when really it created us as a way to experience, for itself to experience life. And we're just out here being the physical manifestation of the one. So can you imagine God, the creator that has created all of us? Can you imagine God saying, oh, well, Jeff, I really like you. You're my favorite. You're my favorite. I'm not so sure I like those people from a different racial group or a different generation, or the folks who speak that language. I don't think I like them as much. How silly is that? How silly is that? Why would the creator of all of life, that has created life and people and humanity in all these infinite ways, why would we think for even a moment that the creator thinks that some of what it has created is better than others?
Absolutely. Why would it? Right?
Yeah. I mean, like,
why would it? Why would it? It wouldn't. It doesn't. Right? And if we are the divine emanations and impartations of this one life, then why do we?
It is not innate within us. It is not innate within us. We didn't come into physical form knowing that or believing that. And so often people will say, oh, this newborn baby, right? The baby loves anybody and everybody, right? I mean, you have to really treat a baby badly for the baby to, learn not to like you. And so we learn that we're socialized into it, and we just live in a society that has told us that people with a certain color skin or a certain accent or who speak a certain language or who were born in a certain place, humanity has created a construct of judgment and separation. But I was created by a divine wisdom and intelligence that is guiding my life. And so there are times when I have to turn away from what humanity has created and speak and live from a deeper knowing of truth.
It's breaking that cycle of socialization.
Well, I wasn't going to go to class, but yes, because I try only to talk about the cycle of socialization and the cycle of liberation when I am talking directly to people who I know have taken the class that we offer in Centers for Spiritual Living to ministerial students. But for the general population, they're like, the cycle of what? Socialization?
It's a topic we've brought up here at Riverside, so that's why I just, that we get into cycles of socialization, and then we have the opportunity to break the cycles of socialization, because really what we're about here, me personally, what I feel is the opportunity for Centers for Spiritual Living, for our faith, for our philosophy, for new thought as a whole, is to really understand that we have the capability, that we are designed in many ways to be a liberating theology, to be a part of that liberation theology from many faith traditions, but to really be the liberation theology or the liberation path, because we have this tool. We know how to do this. We know how to free ourselves. We know how to free society. We know how to do this by what we teach of changing our beliefs, changing our behaviors, changing our habits, and then we see the resulting change in society. We have the opportunity to use this and to change ourselves, that it's an internal job first and foremost, because if we're not doing some of the work in here, it's not there. It's always, go ahead.
Well, so here's the deal. I agree with everything that you just said. And where we often get hung up is we think that universal spiritual principles, this ancient wisdom that we are applying, we think it's only about changing our individual life. We think so many people, will say, yes, it liberated me from this list of conditions that were limiting me before, and not realizing the bridge that you just so beautifully built. If it works in my individual life to shift condition, to create an environment where I am choosing what I want and how I want to respond or react to the condition, then those exact same processes, those exact same tools, those exact same principles work in the collective. And so I'm not just changing my own life, because everything that I think and I say and I do has an impact on the collective consciousness as well. So I am never one person alone, just making my own life beautiful and wonderful. And I don't care about, people don't say I don't care, but I'm not connected to what I do. No, everything I do is connected to whether or not I shift condition for me personally, and I create a world that works effectively and respectfully for others.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that ties back with what we were talking about with Reverend Marie last week about, calling back all of those bits and pieces of ourselves that we may have shame around, that we may have tried to dismiss, that we may try to hide, stuff that we're not aware of. And one of the things, there are many things in class, in multitudes of classes that I've been in with you and being able to be with you. But one of the things that was very poignant at one point was the discussion around how each one of us is multicultural. And each one of us brings a lot of bits and pieces to the table, depending on which situation we're in or how we are, that this conglomeration, right, it comes through and there's all these little filters that are happening. And these filters then are, of course, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, patterns, habits that we may then internalize subconsciously or unconsciously. And then they're the kind of the film or the filter through which we're experiencing the world. So if we're not aware of who we are in that sense, then we're not necessarily aware of our biases, and we're not necessarily aware of how we're showing up. Is that?
Yeah, one of the things that happens so often, and I'm glad you framed that the way you did, because it immediately clicked in. The example that I often use is I'll ask people to, especially people who say, we should just get rid of all the labels. We're all just the human race and we're all the same. I mean, that's a heart-centered, maybe idealistic view, but we live in the physical form. And so I'll ask people often to make a list of 30 groups you are a member of, 30 labels that apply to you. Because sometimes people will just think, oh, well, Tracy, you're Black and you're a woman. So like, I got you. I kind of know where you're going to come from, or I think I know something about you. Well, I am Black, and it's very important to me. It's a key driver. I am female, and I use the pronouns she and her, and I'm very comfortable being a woman in the world. But depending on the situation, one of those might be in the lead, but there are all kinds of other groups I am. So this idea that we are all multicultural is critical to understanding that no one is monocultural. So yes, I'm Black, I'm a woman, I'm business owner, I'm a speaker, I'm a practitioner, I am a baby boomer, I'm an aunt, I'm even under the category of woman or female, right? Then I'm an aunt, I'm a godmother, I'm a sister, right? There are groups within groups. And so when I show up at a conference and I'm speaking to 2,000 people, being Black is not my number one lead, right? Being a speaker and all the skills I developed and what I've learned and the culture of what you're supposed to do when you're on the platform and how you construct a talk or a speech, that's all in the lead.
Yeah.
And all of us do that all the time. So if we can recognize we are each multicultural, then it's easier for me to be curious about, oh, well, Jeffrey, I know 2 or 3 things about you, but what don't I know? Or how did being in Hawaii affect you? Or what perspective does that give you? Right? But if I just think, oh, I met this white guy, I'm I'm going to miss, gloss over, ignore, discard so much that would actually let me know who you are, who you came here to be.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's really important, especially in community, right? It was funny. I was on another call. It was a new group, a new group that's forming here in the Riverside area, and I experienced that. It was very funny to sit there and going, she sees a white guy. You know, she has no idea what's about anything else. You know, it was yeah. Yeah. It was very interesting. I was like, okay, I'll take that. It's this is, so now I know where we are and I know what questions to ask. We can then enter into a deeper conversation, which we did.
It's a starting point, absolutely. Right. It's a starting point, but it is not a very deep understanding. And so another way to look at that is you go into a room and there are basic introductions and you're introduced as Reverend Jeffrey Ryan. And so then people have their story about, oh, he's a minister. And so, right, and their assumptions based on their beliefs about what it means to be a minister, not your actual behavior. And this is what Black folks go through and brown folks go through if they live in, work in, or worship in a place that's predominantly white. Then Black folks get that all the time, or people of color get that all the time. Like, oh, people think they know me. Oh, they don't really have any idea. All right, let me see. One, do I even want to build a bridge? And two, if I'm going to be engaging with this person over time, how do I give them information that will help them expand their assumptions? Alan Alda talks about sometimes you need to clean the windows, like your assumptions are like the windows to the world. And every now and then you need to clean them off so you can really see clearly. And that's the invitation that I often give to people. Notice what you think you know about someone who's different from you. And then challenge yourself to inquire about what else God gave them, what else God has to say through them, what other experiences they have had that let you see another face of God. Instead of you projecting upon them what you think they are or who you think they are.
Yes. And if we don't know who we are, we can't know who they are.
Yeah, there is that, isn't there? If we're not willing to see the totality of who we are, then it is really difficult to extend that gift of welcoming and seeing and knowing someone else. In today's devotion, after talking about all these different conditions, and I wrote, I am not the pandemic. I am not police brutality. I am not the protest. I am not homeless. I am not discrimination. I am not recession, depression, or voter suppression. Or am I? Because as long as any human being lives with these conditions, I too experience them at some level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. And Michelle and Ed are over here going, no, we want more. We want more. there's an opportunity for more, folks, okay? In Beyond the Message, at 11 o'clock, we'll move over to Zoom and we'll have Beyond the Message, and we'll be able to expand our conversation there. But at the moment, I would love it if you would pray with us, Tracy, please.
Oh, what a delight it is to simply breathe and go within. My life is a part of all life. I am boldly me and part of the we. It is easy to take that affirmation into prayer in this moment, because what I know is my life and the life of all of we is a representation of the one life. The one life. The pendant around my neck with the African Adinkra symbol, Jiname symbol, that reminds me that there would be nothing in the physical manifest world except that God created it. Nothing except for God. And so I speak this word knowing I am simply putting into language Spirit's highest vision for life itself. Spirit's highest vision for me, Spirit's highest vision for we. That each life and every life is an expression of the one life. And that in every action taken, in every idea, every thought, every word, every question, every response, every decision, every relationship, everyone in the sound of my voice begins in this moment to choose to be a representation of the one and chooses to build a world that represents the we, living together, mutually respecting and loving one another. I'm so grateful for knowing that simply by speaking this word with clarity and with conviction to actually treat and move my feet, that the universe can only say yes. This is guaranteed. And so I relax into it. I release it into the flow of spiritual activity. I turn away from any doubt. I refuse to create any drama. I know there is no dispute to this truth. There is simply demonstration. And I let it be. So breathing from the consciousness of Christ, breathing and speaking from the consciousness of love, I release into spiritual principle and truth this word, this knowing, and call it forward through the action, the automatic action of the law. And I invite you to affirm this with me by repeating these words. Amen, Shalom, Aho, Amin, and so it is.
This is by Faith Rivera, the great Faith Rivera, and this is called Vision. There are times in my life when I am stronger than I've ever been. There are times in my life when I believe I can do no wrong. There are moments when I can I am shining brighter. Sister, stand up. Believe in all that you can be. Brother, remember who you are. Be strong. Hold on to that vision, 'cause no one can ever take that away from you. Be strong. Live your life with passion. You gotta keep on and hold tight to your vision. There are mountains to climb, more songs to sing, and tears to be cried. There'll be moments of loss, moments of winning, a lifetime of love. If I just keep in my mind, without any doubt, I am flying higher. Sister, get up. Believe in all that you can be. Brother, you got to know who you are. Be strong. Hold tight to that vision, 'cause no one can ever take that away from you. Be strong. Live your life with passion. You gotta keep on and hold tight to your vision. You gotta take the moment, rise up. You gotta know the sun's coming out and life is starting now. Can't keep you down, your spirit's rising. Oh, be strong. Hold tight to that vision, 'cause no one can ever take that away from me. Be strong. Live your life with passion. You gotta keep on and hold tight to. Surrender to. The sun is shining through your vision. Surrender to your vision.
Thank you, Jabel. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Tracy, for that beautiful, beautiful prayer. So I want to remind you that we have ways to contribute, consciously contribute. And I want to thank you for your generous conscious contributions, that you continue to support this ministry, continue to support your center, our center, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, where we do know that love lives here, where we embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. It is you that makes all of this possible. It is you and your conscious contributions that allow us to invite beloveds like Tracy to come and be with us. And, you know, I would gladly fly her here too, to be with us all the time if I could. So it is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I am so grateful for all of your conscious contributions, your continuous contributions to our center and to this ministry. So the easiest way to contribute is via your phone. Simply go to 951-419-5858, type in the amount there, hit send, and boom, there it is, just like that. The other way of doing it is going to our website, riversidecsl.org. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you will see the word contribute. click on that, and it makes you can make an easy contribution right there. So super easy, super fast, and we are super grateful. So Jabel, let's sing a little bit here. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Here we go. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good. Here we go. That I can do.
End of the.
Sorry, we're muted.
Oh, are we unmuted?
Yes, we're unmuted now.
Sorry. Okay. Here I was all excited. Okay, so I'll do that again. All right, here we go. So Michelle was just like, oh my gosh. So a few quick announcements, even quicker now. So Frances is starting a book study. Frances Drake, practitioner, is starting a book study. She'll be facilitating a book study on Dennis Merritt Jones's Your Redefining or Your Defining Moments. And that'll be starting at the end of August on Tuesday evenings. And you will be able to find more information about that on our website later this week so that you can register for that book study. That book study is free of charge. However, we do encourage you to share your love through your generous contributions to that book study as well. So be sure to check that out a little bit later on the website. Also, coming up next week, we have Jafan Seeley visiting with us, and we will be in conversation about being better together. And I know Michelle's pulling up that slide now. So being better together is the topic for next week. And then the following week, we have Masando Hiraoka will be joining us. And then finishing out our series this month on inclusion in action, we'll be joined by practitioner Kat Kim from CSL Seattle. So I want to remind you to join us in just a couple of minutes here over on our Zoom link. The ID number is 249-395-737. You can also find that on our website, riversidecsl.org. Right there on the front page of that, there is a button there. You can click it, and it's right there, and you'll be brought into the Zoom room. So join us over there. I want to invite Tracy and Jabel back in, and Constance, hey. So I want to, whoops, there we all are. So I want to say thank you to our beloved Tracy Brown for joining us this morning. I want to say thank you to Jabel for the fantastic music this morning, Constance for holding the high watch and inviting us into the space. I want to thank Ed and Michelle and Matt and the band, all in the background there, supporting us from behind the scenes. So thank you to each one of you. I love all of you, and none of this would be possible without any one of you. So thank you all so very much. And of course, I want to send a shout out to all of our beloveds watching us and joining us on Facebook, joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you over in the Zoom room in a minute. So here we go. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in everything I do. I am it. I share it. And I receive it. Because love lives here. Love you, everybody. See you soon. Peace and blessings.
All right, let's sing this together. Have a great Sunday. We miss you all. And I just want to say thank you to Manuel and Max and Matt who are making this happen. My love, I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I sing my love. I sing my love. I sing my love into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. Here we go. I live my peace. I live my peace. I live my peace into the world. Bye, everybody. See you next week. Have a great week. Love.